Welcome, everybody. This is my Day in the Life video series where I'm meeting with all sorts of professionals to see how they help students succeed in the classroom. So whether you're an OT, PT, special educator, general education teacher, parent, homeschooler, I'd love to hear from you to see just about what your routine is like on a day-to-day basis and how you help students. So today I have Dorothy. Welcome, Dorothy. Why don't we start off? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. I'm Dorothy. I work in an outpatient pediatric clinic in Northern Colorado. I'm an occupational therapist. In addition to doing clinic work, I also provide equine movement therapy. So we also have a therapeutic farm where we do therapeutic, like actual like farm therapy, as well as the like equine movement riding therapy. So I have a pretty good mix of what I get to do. That's super traditional stuff, as well as like some really awesome stuff in the farm. And I work in a multidisciplinary clinic. So we have speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, music therapy, and ABA all in the same building.
Wow.
So it's really fun to work in such a multidisciplinary team. Yeah.
That's really cool about the farm therapy and equine therapy. Tell us more. Whatever you want
Yeah.
to share about that, because you're the first person who's done that. So unload. Tell me everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I really love it. We're very lucky to have such an amazing space to work in. So we have an outdoor arena and a big pasture, and we're hoping in the future to build an indoor arena as well, so that we're not as limited by weather and stuff. But we ride all year round, even when it's cold. We don't go if it's below freezing or pouring rain or anything like that, but we do ride all year. And I ride a wide variety of kids. So the youngest kid I've ridden is under 2 years old. The oldest kid I've ridden is 19, and their diagnoses range from cerebral palsy to polymicrogyria to cortical visual impairment to autism to emotional regulation. All sorts of things. We really try to maximize the benefit of not only like the motor experience, but also the sensory experience and that emotional regulation experience of building relationships with animals, building confidence as you encounter this huge creature, a horse, especially if you're a little one, and learn that it can love you back and that you can learn to communicate with it and even control it using your reins and stuff. So we can target like a huge variety of goals and work with a huge variety of kiddos at the farm. And then in addition to the riding at farm therapy, we give kids a chance to do all sorts of therapeutic activities that just wouldn't be available in a typical clinic. So helping to take care of the chickens or muck out stalls or groom a goat or, all sorts of crazy stuff like that, while we're able to target fine motor, gross motor, visual motor, bilateral coordination, executive functioning, the list goes on and on. But it's just a
This
really
sounds
great way.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a really
Amazing.
great way to get kids back in nature too, which is really important to me. And I'm also thankful to be part of a really cool, like typical clinic as well, because I get both experiences. And I've seen the same kids like in each setting, and kids can it's all owned by the company that I work for, and we bill all insurances and we bill Medicaid. So we're actually really proud that we are one of the very few people in Colorado, at least, who provide equine movement therapy for Medicaid.
Okay, excellent. I was
So
going to ask you that question, whether it was private pay, insurance, and so you answered that question.
mhm.
Now, when you have a child come in, do some of them just come for that equine therapy or farm therapy? Or are they always expecting kind of a mix of traditional therapy with equine therapy?
We have gone back and forth a little bit. Occasionally, a kid will come in and we will know 100% that is where you need to be and you're 100% appropriate. Generally, we have kids at least come to the clinic for about 2 or 3 months so we can really get to know them well to make sure it is going to be a good fit, both from like a therapeutic perspective and also just from a safety perspective. Because there are some kids with high sensory needs or high emotional regulation needs that could really benefit from the farm, but we need to see them a little bit more to make sure that they're ready. Can they follow, adult directives to the extent that they know they'll stay in a safe area? Can they, be redirected when having maybe self-interest behavior or aggressive behavior so that our horses and other animals are not, in danger or in danger of hurting someone else? So I would say 85% of the time we have at least a clinic period. And occasionally a kid will come in and we're like, oh man, you need to get on a horse right now. I can see that, you're well regulated, you're calm, but you're a little guy with cerebral palsy and you would really benefit from the tone normalization, the core strengthening, all that. So like everything OT, it always depends a little bit,
Right.
but we generally, we have them come into the clinic, or at the very least, if it's an evaluating therapist who doesn't work at the farm, they need to meet with one of the farm therapists to ensure the
So
appropriateness.
certain therapists, there's only certain therapists who do work at the farm.
So the farm right now is mostly occupational therapy because like our OT owner is also the owner of the farm. We have PT and speech owners as well. We have had speech at the farm in the past, and we have music at the farm a lot. So we'll do co-treatments with music, but it's mostly run by OT right now. And there's some therapists that just live and breathe the farm and that's all they want to do. There's some therapists that live and breathe the clinic and that's all they want to do. And then there's people like me who want to try both. So we're honestly really lucky. Our boss is really open to like, where do you want to be and what do you want to explore? And to work at the farm, you undergo extra training to make sure that you also have horse knowledge and safety awareness and all that. But they've made it really.
Who does that training for you? Another trained OT, or is there someone at the farm who manages that training?
It's a mix. So we have a barn manager, and she's not a therapist, but she has lived on farms and had experience. Like she has like a business degree, so she is really knowledgeable about all things horses and farm. And then our boss also will sit in on those trainings so that she can bring the OT perspective, and our barn manager brings like the farm perspective. And then we also have really talented people working with us who are like the horse, team. And they, in addition to knowing how to tack and lead and all that with the horses, some of them are actually like animal behaviorists. So they can speak a lot to like, how are the horses doing? And are they overworked? Are they overstressed? Or are they ready to like work with our kids today? Kind of thing. So it's
wow. So this is a real team approach, it sounds like.
It's amazing.
Now, when a child comes in, who does the initial evaluation?
So it just depends if they're referred to OT. It could be any of our therapists, and the initial evals are always done at the clinic. Where we have all of our assessments and everything you could ever need.
And then if that child is appropriate to receive OT services, then you would set goals according to your assessments, but then use these farm animals as a means to reach those goals. Am I correct in saying that? Okay. Yeah. So do you ever work with students in small groups, or is this all individualized OT?
We have groups, especially over the summer. We're running some groups right now. I'm running a social group for preteen boys, but it's here at the clinic. There is a farm group going on right now that I'm not involved with, but I know it's targeting older teens. So working on those like really like executive functioning, independence life skills out at the farm, but then also like breaking out from just pure farm activities. And also now let's talk about how can we build a resume and how can we, it's things like our horses need to eat this much food. Let's go through all our horses and see who eats what, how much of what. Okay, now we're actually going to go meet up at the feed store and like purchase and, do all that stuff.
So combining life skills with the farm life. So that's a whole nother level of skills that they're being exposed to. Geesh, I wish my kid could come. I mean, it sounds amazing. How did you get this job? Were you always interested in equine therapy, or you just got lucky and exposed to it and now enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got lucky regardless. I'm very happy to be here. So I grew up riding horses, not like competitively or anything, but have always been a big like outdoor kid and loved riding, and kind of got away from it in high school and college. But in my OT program, I went to Colorado State University. We have very strong research, and I was lucky enough to be able to do my thesis with Wendy Wood, who is like a very well-known equine researcher in the realm of OT. So I got exposed to research with equine and got to do a project where I worked alongside OTs who were just like providing the equine intervention. And it's all occupational therapy, just the horse is part of it, right? So it's always OT. So we would call it OT in an equine environment is what we call
Okay.
it, because it's still, we're not doing horse therapy, or we're not,
Right. You're not doing hippotherapy. Like
yes.
what I said before, you're using the horse, for lack of a better word, as a tool to help the child reach their goal, just like we might use a therapy ball or,
Exactly.
a swing. You're using this as a tool, which has
Exactly.
been
We actually make that
obviously.
joke all the time. We're like, it's not called ball therapy, like it's OT or it's PT or whatever it is. And it's just one of our tools. So I was able to work in with them for my research. So then I ended up, after graduation, worked with adults for a little while, and then knew I wanted to come back to peds, knew this clinic existed in my region, and honestly just kept bothering them until they had an opening and let me come work here.
I can
But yeah,
understand because
that
it's a unique
experience.
environment.
Oh yeah, and that experience writing and that experience with the research definitely helped me jump in a little bit sooner. But all that to say, there are some therapists who just signed on as clinic therapists and then heard about all this cool stuff and said, "Hey, can I try it too?" So it's been a really great learning environment for a
And
lot of
how
people.
many therapists do you have total between the clinic setting and do you know that number? Just curious, not even just OTs, just overall.
For OT, we have like around 20. And I'm
Okay.
trying to think if we add it all up. If I had to guess, maybe like 40-ish.
Okay.
But
So it's big.
it is big and it's growing a lot. I've
Okay.
only been here for about a year and a half, but in the past 5 years, it's gone from, 4 therapists to 40 therapists or whatever. So yeah, we have a really great leadership team who's like always looking for how we can grow.
And how many students or children do you have on your caseload at any given time on average?
Sure. I have room to see 40 kids on my caseload plus an eval a week. It's rare that I see all 40 of those kids in an outpatient setting. But I would say I probably have 40 kids on my caseload.
Okay. So that's fair.
It's very reasonable. I
Yeah.
work 4 10-hour days.
Okay.
So that's a good schedule for me.
Yeah.
Other people, especially people that have children and other things they have to do, choose to work like 5/8, or, you can kind of have some flexibility. But we're supposed to see a max of 10 kids a day for 45-minute sessions, working
Okay.
10 hours that day. So we have a very good, I would say like a good balance. We get doc time and
Right. Well, that's nice. The flexibility to choose your hours like that. And like you said, if you're getting documentation time, that's above and beyond what I'm hearing from most people.
yeah, and it's really nice, especially during equine movement therapy. It's like
How are you going to write that
you
down?
can't like start a note, right? So
Right. Right. And any weekends because of
no,
outpatient?
we don't work weekends. We've had some trainings on the weekends,
Okay. But
especially
you're
for
not
like
seeing clients
prospective
on the
stuff, but no.
weekends. Okay.
No, we'll do community events sometimes. So like we did a special needs Easter egg hunt and a special needs like Christmas light show type thing. So we'll do community events, but that's all for fun.
Voluntary.
Yeah.
Now, and you said you have it sounds like a wide range of diagnoses, wide age range. Do you have a certain age range that you have more of? Do you have more young kids than older kids, or not necessarily?
It's funny because I feel like even though this isn't necessarily what is supposed to happen, people start to like identify with different strengths, I guess. So I would say as a general rule, our clinic is pretty widely spread. We don't have a ton of older teens. We don't have a ton of tiny, tiny babies because our early intervention programs here are pretty strong. So I'd say we tend to see a lot of kids in that like 4 to 8-year-old range, but for whatever reason right now, I'm getting all of like the 11-year-old boys. That's just like my whole case right now. And it's just like a running joke at this point. But I see 3 to 13-year-olds right now.
Okay.
That's like the range that I'm seeing right now.
Right. And there's pluses and minuses to all age ranges,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So when you have these 11-year-old boys or whoever, could you describe what a session might look like for farm therapy? If you could do that, that would be great.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, and I will say at the farm, it is older kids typically.
Okay.
We do see some littles, but at the farm, it's definitely older kids who are ready to like work on more life skills and more like
Okay.
executive functioning, cognition, while dual tasking that bilateral coordination and all that stuff. So yeah, so we actually have one of the full-time therapists at the farm developed a curriculum that we can follow. So we can go through week 1 through week 12 and first we always talk about the rules, or what's it called? The code of the West. So it's kind of like a character building type thing. Like we do what needs to be done on the farm, and, we help everyone, and we don't, complain about it, or,
Right,
whatever
right.
it is. So there's always like a little educational piece of like, hey, today we're going to be doing chicken stuff. Let's look at, a few sheets about, what do chickens need to be healthy, and what are the different parts of a chicken, and da 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 da. So we go to the chicken coop and we're like, okay, do they have enough food? Do they have enough water? Does their bedding look fresh? Okay, let's check for eggs. Okay, this hen is actually sitting on an egg. How can we appropriately like approach this animal, get a hand under and grab the egg? Or is that chicken looking like we don't want to do that? So already we're doing so much just like new learning, environmental awareness, life skills in terms of like taking care of an animal, and like,
Grading your muscle control
yeah,
gently. And, that's
and
a
like,
challenge for a lot
and
of
like
our kids.
totally, and reading like expressions in animals can translate really well to reading expressions in humans, which a lot of my kids are struggling with. So it's like, if that chicken looks like it's going to peck you, like we might just want to come back later. If that chicken's relaxed, then like it's a great time. And same thing, like, actually, I was just telling my friend about this. One of my favorite things I've done is we'll also lead animals, or even for some of our riders, rein animals. So when we're teaching kids about that, talk about force production and grading, we'll have them get led and reined in the barn by us first. So they'll like hold the reins at their side and let themselves get steered. And we'll even have them like close their eyes. So we're like moving them through obstacles. Like, this is what your horse is feeling. So don't go like this, because your horse isn't going to know what that means. And then they get to lead us, before we lead an animal. So also just like building those skills.
Building those skills up from a motor learning perspective so that you can then go do it with the animal, the end goal.
Exactly. And it's so motivating to do it with the animals. The kids like, yeah. Like, I actually want to do this, versus sometimes Jenga is fun. Sometimes it's not that fun.
Right,
So,
right,
it's
exactly.
just, and the farm is really great for some of our kids too, who have these developmental disabilities, that have been in therapy for a long time.
Yeah,
And
they get tired of it.
they played all the games, and they swung on all the swings, and they're still benefiting, but they're finding a little lull in their motivation. So it's sometimes really nice to like work on these same skills in a different environment. So
Right.
yeah.
And to me, yes, of course, playing games is such a huge aspect of our job as pediatric therapist. I'm a PT, but you're adding in such a functional piece to the fun.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they need to learn how to play a board game and things like that. So I'm not discrediting that, but this is a whole nother level of function that they're getting to achieve and reach those goals. I think that's part's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. I totally agree. And it gets definitely a challenge in the clinic sometimes, especially for those older kids, 12 and up. If it's like, okay, we could bake something, like what can we do in 45 minutes that's really functional? And there's a word I'm looking for, but like true to your life, not
Right.
just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I like pulled this out of nowhere. Let's pretend that you run an ice cream stand and we're
Right,
going
right.
to pay money for your ice cream. It's the farm. We actually need to do these tasks. We actually need to collect our eggs, or brush our goats because they look really dirty, or muck a stall because there's a lot of stuff in there, and that horse is not going to be healthy if their stall stays dirty, and our kids aren't our employees. We have employees that
Absolutely.
keep the farm
Right.
clean and functioning, but they get so much fulfillment and
There's
joy
real
out of
purpose.
it.
There's
Yeah,
real
because there's
purpose in
real
it.
purpose. Exactly.
Right.
So
And a lot of times they might not have those opportunities, to experience that. So in this environment, it's great
yeah,
learning
and
process
I
for them.
am I am in no way, shape, or form like making a judgment on any family's like approach to parenting, but I'm often surprised some of my kids that are so capable and so smart don't have any chores or responsibilities at home. And I'm like, wow, you can do it. You definitely have the ability. So it's cool that you have a chance to see what you're capable of,
Right, right.
here at the farm. I think that's a big thing, and writing as well. Because it's all just really naturalistic. It's not invented, I guess.
Right, right. Yeah, again,
Yeah.
purpose driven, and you see how appropriate it is. I've just lost my question when I was going to ask you about it. Oh, darn it. It'll come back to me. So, What would you say is a challenge at your job now? Because we're talked about amazing things. Is there anything that you
Totally.
find to be challenging?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like sometimes like you're at the farm and there's like not like enough to do. Like our employees have like done amazing things. So like, okay,
Okay.
now we actually do have to be like a little creative. And I did not grow up on a farm or anything like that. So I've had to learn a lot about like what is needed at the farm and like get my hands dirty in a way that like I wasn't used to. And that's been really good for me, but it definitely was like hard, sometimes. And I'm sure anyone will tell you, like working in outpatient, like a big challenge is always just like getting kids to come consistently with all the different things going on in their lives, especially like we have a really awesome horse team. But if a kid is no showing, it's like there's a therapist, there's a sidewalker, there's a horse leader, and there's the horse. And we're all just like, I hope our friend comes today. And they don't come. And it's just like so sad, So
Yeah.
we've had to manage that just because we have a wait list, because, we don't have unlimited horses and unlimited space. So, we have to manage that with like rules, I guess, for,
If no shows.
expectations.
Right,
And then what
right.
we also do that has helped that is for horseback ride, for OT using equine movement, we have sessions. So it's like you'll get to be signed up for the spring session. And when summer comes around, maybe you get to stay on the summer session.
Okay.
Maybe you have to take a break because you've met the goals that we set for you in equine movement. It's now time to come back to the clinic and work on some other goals. And then you can come back. I think that's always a balancing act of like, I wish every kid who wants to do equine
Trying to be
movement
equitable.
equine movement every day, and
Yeah.
it's not a one size fits all, because if you're my little guy who's 18 months with polymicrogyria, he's not going to get that movement experience anywhere else. And he needs to be on the horse. So maybe he gets to stay on, for a whole year, no questions asked. But maybe you're an emotional regulation case who just loves the horse so much, but we've done it and we've kind of tapped out, and now you just want to ride the horse and have fun. So that's a hard thing to do. But luckily we have good relationships with like therapeutic riding clinic centers in our area.
Okay.
That's
So
like
you
a
can
nice
refer.
next step of like therapeutic riding. Just for people that don't know, the difference is that it actually is about horseback riding in a therapeutic way. So kids are actually learning horsemanship skills. They're grooming, tacking, riding, reining, washing down their horse, all because it's therapeutic, but they're there to learn horsemanship skills versus to address OT goals. So we'll often have to like suggest that as an option if a family is really heartbroken that they have to come off the horse. So that's just
And is
hard.
that
I think,
situation
yeah.
would be then private pay for the family because
Yes.
that's not reimbursable. Okay.
Exactly. So we're always here as a resource. You can definitely come back to the clinic and we can keep working on these goals. But we wish we could keep you on a horse schedule forever, but like we want it to be equitable as possible. So that's definitely a challenge, but it's something that I think we have like a good system for. It's
Right,
just
right. To make sure you're spreading the wealth of the beauty of the program.
exactly.
So speaking about the opposite of challenges would be your strengths and where you really shine. How would you use what you consider your strengths and dream about the future of what you would improve in the program or what you hope for down the road?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I think that we're really lucky that we've grown so much and been able to grow so much. I think we have a lot of really awesome therapists from like different walks of life. And I feel like we don't always all like share our knowledge with each other as much as I would like to. Like I just learned yesterday that one of my coworkers did this really comprehensive like primitive reflex training. Like it was like a several day training. And she's doing it with a kid that we share because he's twice a week. And I was like, well, I want to do that. Like, can you show me what you know? Because I want to bring that into my sessions. And I feel like one of my strengths is I have a background just from undergraduate in psychology. And I do see a lot of emotional regulation kids. And I have what I think are a lot of fun OT appropriate activities that work on emotional regulation and work on mindfulness and behaviors and things like that. And sometimes I see other therapists like struggle to come up with ideas of like what to do. And I'm like, I want to like have a way that we can all share. So I think that's something that we're working towards. But I think we just all have our own strengths. So I would love to do in the future is like find a way that we can
To have
also
collaboration time.
that time. And yeah, we collaborate on kids but I feel like we don't always share our skills. It's like, oh,
Right.
how's he doing with you at farm? He's doing really well with me in the clinic. Like, what's working well for you? So we collaborate in that way, but I think we can grow in that way, for sure. But yeah, overall, I mean,
Yeah,
it's been
sounds
great.
amazing. This was great. That was 30 minutes already. I can't believe it.
I know that seems
That was,
live.
yeah, that was super enlightening, informative. I remember what my question was, so I am going to go back and ask it. You mentioned horses, chickens, and goats. Is that the 3 total animals? Anything else on the farm?
Also have a miniature donkey.
Okay.
Is albino. So he's a hit. And then we have cats and a dog.
Okay. So I was
And the
curious if
dog
you
is
had a
like
dog.
privately owned by our barn manager, but he's always
Okay.
goofing around. And the cats, just side note, they were born and raised on the farm with kids with special needs. Talk about force grading. They don't care. You can squeeze them and drop them and do everything. And they are like the most relaxed cats. It's like, I'm not a super cat person, but I love these cats because they just are like good with whatever. So
Right.
yeah,
That's amazing. And
those
how
are
about
our
any
crew.
gardening? Any vegetables
Yeah.
or flowers that are grown?
Yes, we have fruit trees. So during the fall, we have like apple picking and stuff
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh, this is
And
amazing.
I know it sounds like a fairy tale. Um, we've done a little bit of gardening. I haven't done as much because, to be honest, I don't know anything about gardening.
Uh-huh.
But we definitely will go like weed the garden and plant. And I know that some people are really passionate about like wanting to do more of that. We have these like massive sunflowers, so we'll like collect their seeds.
I mean, I'm just in my head, the PT in me is like the balance and,
Yeah.
all the gross motor skills that are involved in everything you've been talking about. It's just so functional
Oh,
and
for
motivating
sure. I
to
would love to
kids.
have more PT out there too. But yeah, I mean, I was cracking up because I see this kid in the clinic and I see him do PT in the clinic and he's working on squatting for like building strength and everything. And we were like looking for eggs and he literally like dropped into like the most perfect squat when looking for eggs. And I was like, I wish his PT was here right now. She would be freaking out. Like he looked perfect and he didn't know, so.
Right, exactly. That's the thing. It's just so functional, motivating. This was great. I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. You added an exciting flair to my day in the life videos that I wasn't expecting. So that was great. Thank you very much. Have a great day and enjoy your life on the farm. I'm
Thank
jealous.
you. It was a pleasure to meet you. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.